That time is upon us once again. It is freshly pressed on the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life on a Monday morning, 24th of November 2025. My name is Ayokunmi, and we are here once again to start the week, taking a look at the major stories, the talking points, and everything that has us wondering, hey, where are we right now in the papers across Nigeria? You get to join us this morning, as you always do. You get to play a big part in everything we'll be getting up to this morning. So do join us on WhatsApp, do join us on YouTube as well. Send those messages in, keep up with us, and let us know your perspectives on the issue. The WhatsApp number is 0911 999 0981 That is the WhatsApp number to leave those messages. WhatsApp, YouTube, beg your pardon, it's Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments there as well. Hey, you know we always love to hear from you, but of course, make sure the messages are as concise as possible. Makes it easier to get through as many as possible this morning. All right. Talking about breaking the stories down and giving your analysis, Mr. C and AB Bozimo are with me this morning. AB, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C, and good morning to all of the wonderful listeners who, as long as they have a beating heart, must be grieving for our beautiful country this morning.
Good to see you. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Aya. Good morning, AB. Good morning, Lagos.
Alrighty, so just a disclaimer that the stories this morning are security heavy because that is still a very major talking point, a major issue in the country at the moment. So we'll be talking about a number of things, updates, and so on and so forth. Mr. C, let us begin here. In the Punch newspaper, where it says that no fewer than 100,000 police officers attached to very important persons, aka VIPs, and politicians.
That's it.
Sorry, that's AB. Beg your pardon.
I'm sorry.
All right, AB. Well, I'm here already, so let us continue. Um, these police officers will be withdrawn and redeployed to core policing duties, including counterinsurgency operations, as a part of a strategy to rout the terrorists rampaging across the country. Well, first of all, 100,000 is a large number. Secondly, this is not the first time we'll hear about policemen who are attached to these VIPs and co being recalled and so on and so forth in order to increase the number of security personnel that we have out there. But will this actually be put into practice?
There are three questions minimum that emerge from this story for me. First of all, of what value is a so-called very important person in the lives of Nigerians? What importance do they add to Nigeria? So stemming from that is why, since they have evidently proved so inept, incompetent, and are unaware, why were they even being protected by police? Yesterday, I had the privilege of seeing a convoy of about 16 vehicles and perhaps 40 to 50 individuals, all following one person, obviously, inside one vehicle. And I commented about the utter waste of national and spiritual resources that represents. When you consider that there are children inside forests somewhere right now who could have benefited from having the protection of some of those policemen. So you call yourself a VIP and you add zero value to a country. Before now, there were 100,000 or so who were protecting these literal wastes of breathing space. And like you said, Ayo, I take zero comfort in this statement because it's not be today. We've heard, oh, remove them from checkpoints. Oh, and nothing ever happens. I'm sad to feel this way, but I feel it will be one temporary thing where a few of these people will be supposedly redeployed and they will find their way right back to where the politicians have them in phalanges around them just because they know that they can get droppings from the table of these politicians. I love my police. I know too many of them who are decent folk, but I understand often their imperative, why they hang around the politicians. That's where the action is. Full stop. I'm not kidding around here. I'm not going to pretend. So Tinubu has said it. So what? We'll wait and see. How we check? How do we know if indeed they will be taken off? Is it you? Is it me? You that you were not very important. You were of zero importance before now. The police were not there to protect you, Abi. Your tax was just being taken from you to protect some very important. I'm using big air quotes because that's what they have. They have zero importance, in my view, to a society where such levels of criminality, terrorism, and ineptitude exists. I mean, this story, they said that speaking while somebody, Joe Ajero, went to pay a solidarity visit to one of the governors. And I'm asking myself, so in what capacity? So what? And I will bet you that when Joe Ajero went there, he was surrounded by security people because it was from one of those states where they just did some of these terrorist activities. I'll just summarize here. The president has announced it. I don't think it will make any difference because those policemen will find their way right back to the so-called very important people for the sole reason that those very important people are deathly scared of the society that they supposedly should be leading. And so always want protection from those in their own societies. When they're in London, when they're in Washington, they walk freely on the sidewalks. They don't have a sense of insecurity. But here in the country that they're supposed to be the ones in charge of, they protect themselves with policemen, walls, and all sorts of other obstacles. Bulletproof this, bulletproof that. What a disgrace, so-called very important person. Nothing is important about them, Joe.
So very quickly, let me just throw in something. Judge Ero is the director of the NDDDC, so that explains why he
No. NLC. George
Okay,
Ero,
okay,
NLC.
okay. Then two, the president has spoken, but for this to become effective, the IGP must issue a signal. Will he ever issue that signal? Three, the timing of this statement is it further erodes any trust you can have in this government. We are fully about to enter political season, and you then say withdraw the police escorts and everybody go to the NSCDC. Are they not the chaps tasked with securing the pipelines? So when you remove all of them to guard VIPs, are we not going to see an uptick, an upsurge in attacks on our pipelines? We just seem to move from confusion to confusion. And Nigeria is an unreal and an unserious place.
Confusion abounds. This is Tony in Lagos Metropolis. Says good morning, Mrs. AYAB. I can see. Yeah, that's what it is. I want to bring to your notice that since none of you have police protection, we're all unimportant people.
Aha.
Yes, hey. I'm a VNP, a very normal person in my bed. So there's not nothing important here. But is it going to actually make a huge difference at the end of the day? Because like I mentioned, we've heard this rhetoric so many times. Oh, policemen are not going to follow VIPs anymore, and so on and so forth. It is always the same song and dance. At this point in time, if Nigeria were a CD comeback chase and have scratches for days, believe me. Anyways, let's see. Let us step into, okay, well, let's stay in the French. And let's talk about the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who says the federal government has not prosecuted individuals suspected of financing terrorism because the process requires extensive and delicate investigations that cannot be rushed. Now, he was speaking on Channel TV's Politics Today program, and he explained that contrary to public perception, the matter was not as simple as having a list and immediately taking suspects to court. Thankfully, Mr. C, you are of a legal persuasion. So, what exactly is the minister talking about here?
Mr. C, Mr. C, let me just put the most important sound effect. Oh, please go on.
Okay, so the minister was on a program on Friday, and I honestly cannot explain to anyone what he was doing there. Now, he's correct in saying that investigations have to be carried out. That much is correct. However, the minister failed to state in that program or on that program that investigations had in fact started. Now, remember, this list has been with the Nigerian authorities for at least 3 years. And we must also remember the chaps over there did the investigations. They're not the media-friendly type we have here that will first rush into the public space, vilify you, crucify you, arraign you in court, then apply a court for an adjournment so they can complete the investigation. So, since you received that list, what since you received that list, what have the Nigerian authorities done with it? More precisely, what has the Attorney General of the Federation done with that list? He's been in office for 30 months, ladies and gentlemen. He went to England to ask that the jailed former Deputy Senate President return to Nigeria to finish his jail term. He was in America recently following the NSA to speak with the American authorities. Now, you would think that they've actually started this investigation, and with regards to some of the individuals, that they're close to completing the investigations. But yet we have a minister of the government, ostensibly the spokesperson of the government, saying that, oh, it's not as simple as that, it requires investigations. We've heard that. Have you started? If you haven't started, do you intend to start? Can you give us an estimation of when you intend to start? So, in one breath, they tell us, oh, we're determined to fight insecurity. We're determined to make sure that Nigeria is safe for every Nigerian. Then you have actionable information. You're doing nothing about it. And then in the same program, said minister had the audacity to now request that international partners supply more information for you to do what with? To sit on it?
I mean, I want to imagine that the list in quotes that was given to them would have had a lot of information there. So, like you said, you haven't dealt with that. You haven't finished with that. Probably haven't started with that yet. What are you doing with more right now?
Exactly. Then he went on to digress into another issue that, oh, the president will soon appoint ministers after 30 months.
Ambassadors.
No,
Yeah,
ambassadors. Meanwhile, there's really the real problem there is there's no money to appoint them with. Because you just don't send an ambassador to a country to suffer. So here we are. The nation is ravaged by terrorism. Our government has been given actionable information, actionable intelligence. Individuals have actually been identified with evidence, supporting evidence, and we're talking about the beauty of investigations. Well done to all involved.
Mr. C, there's actually money. They have not prioritized using it to actually put Nigerians' diplomatic corps on the map. Rather, I'll say it again, we have a brand new jet, which a non-important person like you will never ride on. We have bulletproof vehicles, which non-important people like you will never be in, and other emoluments. At least I know of ESTA code for the people who just went to Washington to go and meet with almost janitor level people. There's money. It's just not been seen that a country of Nigeria's stature should have a diplomatic presence around the world, even in phases. You can pick some countries and then be doing, but you say none at all. The levels of ineptitude, incompetence, and vacancy in government right now are stratospheric.
This is Adenik Adele on WhatsApp who says, withdraw police from VIP, not today, Yimu. The trust deficits, yeah, the trust deficit that we have between the people and the government, it's ridiculously wide. And that is such a sad thing when you think about it. Don Kelvin says, okay, so they are pulling VIP security. That's all well and good. The question is, were these VIP security pulled each time the full force of the police was deployed anytime a protest was called? All that force with their array of weaponry and fight kits, where are they? Good question. Where are they? I don't know. Anyways, AB, let us step back into the Vanguard. Like I said, today it's security heavy. So that is where we are right now. The Vanguard is where we're pitching our tent. Adiola Ajayi, the Director General of the Department of State Services, as DSS, met with President Tinubu on Friday night for updates on insecurity across the country. Now, this was according to Bayo Ononuga, the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy. But that's not the important part of this. What is key in this story is due to the latest wave of abductions seemingly targeted at schools, Authorities approved the closure of schools until further notice. Now, due to the resurgence of abductions in some parts of the country, the federal government ordered the closure of 41 unity colleges with immediate effect. It's a long list, but AB, I'll let you get into this one. Closing of schools. Is that a good idea in the short term? What do you think?
I will start with the definition of terrorism. According to dictionary.com, it is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. With that as our foundation, it would appear that the Nigerian state has been successfully intimidated by recent events going on, with particular reference to schools. And we know that the DSS, I mean, if there was only one thing that was good about the Buhari administration, it was his photographer. You have to admit some of those pictures that they used to take of Buhari were theatrical, beautiful, and amazing. And it appears that Bayo Nanuga is taking over that job right now because he posted a picture on Twitter showing that Mr. Tosin Adeola Ajayi of the DSS was briefing President Bola Tinubu. Thank God for that. With that, I can now sleep well at night. The DSS officer is talking to Tinubu. But let's go to the meat of the story. Schools shut. Yes, of recent, we've been hearing about this school attacked, this number of people taken away. This school attacked, this person's killed, vice principals, security people, and so on. And we've been also been hearing that some students are now making their way out by themselves out of captivity. The point, you could say in the short term, yes, let's kind of do a lockdown. It's done. But I don't know that this is actually going to the core issue. And the core issue, as I said, is terrorism. In each of these stories, we've heard that bands of people coming sometimes with vans, especially with multiple motorcycles, get to certain places. Let's not talk about how the army was withdrawn in one particular case. We'll talk about that a few hours, an hour before they came. They come, they're able to take mass numbers of people, kill a few people in the process, and spirit them away. How is that possible? I'll say this to anybody listening. If I carry as much as a laptop between point A and point B in Nigeria, the way the police, those who are not with VIPs, the ones who are left for us on the roads, will stop me, ask me not just for the laptop receipt, but my favorite food, my blood type, they will ask me for everything. How are you able to carry groups of people across space without detection? These are the kind of things, you talk about trust deficit, these are the kind of things that lead one to think about some forms of illegal collusion between some official security people and these terrorists. Nobody should mention the word bandit in my presence again, because if you're intimidating the populace, you are a terrorist. And as long as the government officials open their mouths and call these things clashes, call them bandits, then the government is in effect complicit with trying to lighten the truth of what's going on. So schools are closed now, meaning academic calendars are wrecked. We're in December, we don't have any of those, why can co. But how long will they be closed? We don't know. How will they make up the lost time? We don't know. When you close a school, not all, especially the federal government colleges, students come from all over the country, if not the world. I went to one of them. I had friends from all over the country, which is why I'm blessed now. But the point is, you are closing down schools, yes, because we don't want to hear it. What's going to happen to those students? And then there are people who live inside the schools, maybe some staff, and what's going to happen to them? They are not going to disappear from the schools. And then you are closing a school, but the routes to and from the school, are you securing it? The solution ultimately is not closing or opening the schools, it's securing the society. And I'm not yet seeing moves by this government that are showing me that they have a handle on what is going on around them. I'm afraid incompetence is writ large right now in the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration and all of his hangers on below him. If none of them want to tell him the truth, he should listen to Smooth today. President Tinubu, you are being perceived as inept and incompetent at your job right now. With the amount of terror and threat going on to Nigerians, you are not the man for this moment. Until and unless you step it up and show us that you are, that is my abiding perception.
All right, let me take your thoughts here. This is Emeka Nikeja, who says closing schools because of terrorists means that the terrorists are winning. This is clear evidence of failure by government on security matters. Zikolo, good morning to you. He says, how can we be having discussions about no funds to appoint and maintain ambassadors when this government keeps spending huge money on frivolous things for themselves and giving more money to the governors who could not justify the ones they were receiving before? We have money. I think it's just a sheer lack of priorities. Okay, let me take one more before I come back to you, Mr. C. This is Ayo in Festac who says, okay, good morning, Ayo. What's not loud enough on YouTube? Okay, Ayo, just send a message, another message after this to let me know if there has been a change in the volume on that side. Thank you for the feedback. All right, Mr. C, let us talk about what happened in Kwara State. Well, according to the Punch, well, good news, where the Kwara State governor, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, has announced the release of 38 persons who were recently abducted during an attack on Christ Apostolic Church in Eruku, Ekiti local government area of the state. This was disclosed in a statement by the governor's chief press secretary, Rafiu Ajakaye, on Sunday. Similarly, in Niger State, it says that 50 pupils abducted from St. Mary's Catholic primary and secondary schools have escaped from their captors, as according to the Christian Association of Nigeria in the states, confirming that one. I mean, interesting what is coming out here. Those who were released in Kwara, I mean, that's a beautiful thing to happen. But were they just released of their own recognizance? Was anything were there any was there any ransom paid? We don't know. We just know that, oh, they've regained their freedom. Same thing in Niger States. Yes, 50 pupils escaped, but a lot of questions surrounding that. Well, Mr. C, let's get your thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Aya. So, first of all, our thoughts go out to the 38 individuals who have reportedly been rescued or released from captivity in Kwara State, and we're glad that they're about to be reunited with their loved ones. And for the 50 students who escaped in Niger State, we're also happy for them that they're reunited with their loved ones. And our thoughts continue to go out to the remaining children in captivity along with the teachers. And it's our sincere hope here at the station that in no distant time, they will be reunited with their loved ones, especially to spend the forthcoming Christmas holidays. Now, having said that, there's this song by one of the Kuti guys. I think it's Femi, Wonder, Wonder, Wonder. So, where do we start from? Let's start from Niger State. Over 315 people, including teachers, were taken into forced captivity. Now we receive news that 50 children escaped captivity. How? They're not professional hunters. They're not people who really know the land's contour and descriptions. So is anyone planning to speak with them, assuming this story is even true, as to how they escaped? Now think about it. 50 people living in a terrorist enclave, and not one terrorist knew that they were escaping. And they were on foot. These are not trained military operatives. They're not special ops soldiers. These are children. But they will have us believe they escaped. Like I said, we're glad that they escaped, if that is the story. Now, in Kwara State, we were told a sustained operation led to the release and of the 38 individuals. Now, questions to the people who participated in this operation. You didn't capture anybody, you didn't kill anyone, you didn't sustain any injuries. It's almost as if you are told a mechanic was in a workshop all day. There's no grease, grime, or oil on him. He's not stained, he's not dirty, he's not sweaty, he's spick and span. But he's worked the whole day in a workshop. Make it make sense. If you paid a ransom, you paid a ransom. But don't attribute the outcome of ransom payments to an operation. Because the people who were being held, were they not being guarded? Did the captors all leave them in a specific location for them to be taken away. What exactly is going on?
And then, Mr. C, I mean, at the same time, I know it's still early days. The kids or the children have gone through a traumatic experience and all that. Now, if we go by the letter of the information that we've been given here, wouldn't they be able to provide some information to be able to locate said assailants, rescue the other children, and then capture some of them?
Exactly. So in serious countries, when an incident happens, the detectives or the investigators try to get a statement as quickly as possible because it is believed in criminal psychology that the earliest possible time you get an investigation, the facts will still be fresh. Now, beyond all of this is the systemic and sustained attack on educational institutions. Why is it that students in certain states cannot have their education guaranteed, while students in other states seem to have their education guaranteed? And I'm going to make my point clear. In Lagos State, education is seemingly guaranteed. You go to school, you go through your courses, go through the timetable for the term of the semester, depending on the school you're in, then you write your exams. But in the North, it's not guaranteed. Now, 41 or 47 unity schools have been closed. When are they going to write the exams? Some of those students are in examination years where they write external examinations. What then happens? And you find that even the stories regarding these abductions, they're not adding up, they're not making sense. How did they remove 315 people in Niger State? Did they use coastal buses?
That's a lot of people to move at one time.
Then the length of time required for those operations. How is it no security agency got involved? So the assailants came in, took their time to gather the people they were going to abduct and left in a procession. How does that make any sense? For how long will this continue? And then we're treated to photo ops with people sitting down in an office looking confused. So it begs the question, where are we heading with this? And they have been selling the lie between June and September. Oh, security is under control. We've made significant progress. And I kept saying on this show, the moment they tell you they are making significant progress or security is under control, give it a matter of time. You will see the opposite. So, question is,
go on.
In Katsina State, 20 local governments have signed peace deals with terrorists. 20.
Peace deals in quotes.
Meanwhile, all the schools in Katsina have been shut down. Make it make sense. So what did you sign? And then we have a governor there who tells you he's governor. What are you governing? Outside the capital city, what are you governing? And this is a state that has produced 2 presidents. So in certain states, schools have shut down. In Adamawa State, all boarding schools are closed. So if the government is incapable of protecting the lives and properties of the people, why will you not then allow people to bear arms? Something has to give. You can't tie my hands behind my back and insist I fight a boxing fight.
I think that issue of bearing arms is going to lead to another.
Just for context, a Boeing 747 can take roughly, depending on the configuration, 268 people. So when you tell me that 300 plus people are abducted, think of what it takes to load people into a plane, then move them around. You are talking about moving a Boeing 747 size number of people around, and it's supposedly invisible. Make it truly make sense.
So let me quickly read out a number of abductions under this particular administration. 14th of June 2023, terrorists abduct 7 students of the University of Jos. 24th of August 2023, gunmen attack school, killing 1 and kidnapping 7 students and a teacher in Chikun in Kaduna. 22nd September 2023, 24 female students abducted from their hostel at the Federal University, Gusau, Zamfara State. 26th of September 2023, Gunmen abduct a student of Isa Mustafa Agwai Polytechnic in Lafayette. 4th of October 2023. Suspected terrorists kidnapped 5 female students. And in 2024, it continued in Ekiti State, in Kaduna State, in Kuriga, and in Sangaya and Sokoto State. And now in 2025, both in Niger State and Kebbi. One administration. Have you not learned any lessons?
We're protecting our very important people, Mr. C. We are learning.
I need to run through the messages now. Man. Ayo Infestax says 38 victims released, not rescued. How come the kidnappers were not captured? Meanwhile,
Thank
50
you.
is too round a number for us to believe that vulnerable minors escaped a terrorist den. Like I said, that's that gulf in the trust deficit that we have with the government. I mean, yes, that's why it raises these sort of questions. Stan says if the aim of the terrorists, if the aim of these terrorists is to Islamize the country and wipe off Western education, and this so-called government is shutting down schools, then it's safe to say the government is somewhat has somewhat been accomplices to the terrorist aims. As for the police, they become so useless that even fraudsters are VIPs to them. And if a bus park still takes up to 40 minutes to move after complete passengers, I wonder how much time these terrorists took in abducting 300 plus children without being counted by security. And we say these are not coordinated by our so-called security bodies. This is, excuse me, Tony Nikeja says, in reference to the unending terrorist attacks on schools, let's not forget that their intent from the onset was to discourage Western education through Boko Haram, meaning education is forbidden. Now that it's gotten to a stage where the Nigerian government has opted to shut down schools, automatically it means that government has conceded defeat. There is no tactical reason to explain the government's actions. Zikolo says the sudden release of the abductees in Kwara State and the escape of the other girls in Niger actually is what Fela called government magic. It doesn't make sense to us, but makes sense to the same government who continue to take us for people with low intelligence. Gilbert Musa in Festac says, on the recent wave of terrorist attacks and kidnappings across Nigeria, the question is, did we learn from the same herdsmen attacks in Agatu in Benue State in 2016? What did we do to check the situation from spreading since then, when it was obvious this act was a breeding cancer? This is Tony in Marine Beach who says, whenever these politicians try to defend their ineptitude, they end up making the matter worse as their lies become more obvious. I'm sure they know Nigerians are wiser. You'd recall that at the time the list of over 400 was sent to the Nigerian government, some Nigerians were being sentenced in the UAE in connection with the issue, and the Nigerian government, led by Buhari, requested that they be repatriated. And you and I know what would have happened. They would have been out there in the streets. Let me see if
They're
I can sneak
repentant.
more before. Okay, this one, there's okay. Anonymous message. There's serious government collusion in the security issues. Well, those questions have been floating around for quite a bit. Rexin Surulere says Trump inserts religious division into our insecurity issues barely 2 weeks ago, and since then we've had a significant spike in insecurity. The geniuses think that the Christian Association of Nigeria is lying, and Tinubu is incompetent. Wonderful analysis. I thank you for your message, Rexy. Fabian Inekwe says, good morning, sirs. To Mr. President, action speaks louder than words. On another note, are these terrorists who are so smart that they can overwhelm our military be so inept that 50 students will escape so freely from them? Young children can escape, but our security cannot reach the terrorists. What will it take for the president to declare a state of emergency in the northern areas where kidnapping is rampant? Let me see if there's a comment here on YouTube or two. This is David who says, withdrawing police from VIPs is pointless. I give it 2 weeks, 2015, 2018, 2020, 2021, 2023, and now we'll probably hear it again next year or the year after. It's irritating at this point. Well, like I said, broken record. Anyways, we need to wrap it all up and bring it all home. Thank you all so much for the messages. Apologies for the ones that I could not take, Mr. C and AB. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, if they've, as one of the messages said if there was ever a call for a state of emergency, I would say that this was it. But naturally, I don't expect that kind of move from President Tinubu because this has nothing to do with a certain southern state that he wants to be able to capture in the next election. Guys, listeners, have a wonderful week ahead. Let's pray that we don't have another horrible security punctuated week like we had last week.
All right, Mr. C.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you, wonderful listeners. And I'm just praying for peace to surround and permeate our hearts and for the efforts and labors of our hands not to be. Take care.
All right, then. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you all for always keeping it tuned to Smooth 98.1. And the show kicks on. That's Smooth Breakfast. 8:15. It's all about sports in the locker room. My name